After making $48,000 in 1998, in April of 1999, I accidentally made $6,100 in 1 week. And I said, wow. And then I said it backwards. I said, wow. And then I said, wow, I can't believe how easy it was. And then I said, I've got to do this again as soon as possible. And then I concluded, that was easy. That must mean that it's easier to make a lot of money in a short period of time than it is to make a little money over a long period of time. For the rest of my life, I'm going to look for the easy ways to make a lot of money and stop looking for and focusing on the hard ways to make a lot. The greatest business breakthrough that I have had is probably collapsing time frames through high ticket sales. So it's very similar to the personal breakthrough, but it's different. It's easier to sell a high ticket offer than it is to sell a low ticket offer. It takes no more energy, no more effort, no more vitality to sell a $25 or $30 or $50 or $100,000 offer than it does to sell a $500 program. So that was the breakthrough. Make more high ticket offers, make more high ticket offers more often. When people are studying something, they find out a little bit about how something seems to work, and then they want to go be a guru. And so what you do is you have a lot of people out there proclaiming half-truths because they've only half lived them. Instead of being willing to learn all the way through the process of that thing. So when they talk to somebody, they're not just giving theory, right? They're telling you exactly how it really works.
We all have a desire for the work to work for us. I don't know if any of us have a desire for the work to work on us. But that has to be done first. The work has to work on us until we become the person for whom it can work. And being willing to do the work when it feels like it's not working is what feels so hard. It's not that it's so hard, but it's what feels so hard. Now, as far as things getting in the way, I've always said about my family, I could either use my children and my spouse and my family as a reason to succeed, or I could use them as an excuse to fail. I choose to use my family as a reason to succeed. In other words, well, I can't go build a business because of my family. No, I must go build a business because of my family, right? Because there are so many things that we do in our lives that are they're not a good use of our time, and time is the stuff that life is made of. And if I go out and I build a successful business and I make enough money, all of the things that are not a good use of my time, I can pay somebody else to do.
That's right.
So I believe that your beliefs create your belief. In fact, in the word believe is the word be, live. In the word believing is the word be living, right? And so one of the things I said when I was speaking on stage is you will be living what you're believing even though you be lying. I believe the greatest superpower we have as human beings, and I mean all of us have, whether we know how to use it or not, is the power of expectation. Our ability to expect an outcome in the future gives us the ability to take an action in the present, or robs us of the ability to take an action in the present. See, people say, the law of attraction, you just think happy thoughts and good stuff comes to you. That's not really how it works. It's not really, actually how it works is when I believe that a favorable outcome is going to take place, then I have the strength to take action in the present to move towards that thing that I desire. But if I believe the outcome is going to be negative, then I don't have the ability to take an action. Like anxiety robs me of my strength, of my ability to move. Like people think, like you ever heard, oh, I'm going to help you solve the problem of procrastination. Nobody has a procrastination problem. Procrastination is always the symptom of a problem, and it's the symptom of anticipating an undesirable outcome.
Most people have no idea who they are. They do not own their identity. They don't know who they are. They don't know who they are based on whose they are. They don't know who they are based on whose image they're made in. And so they look at an obstacle and think that the obstacle is bigger than them. So you think overcome, right? So over is above, it's higher than, it's bigger than. So in order for somebody to overcome, when they look at an obstacle, they have to look at the obstacle as smaller than them and beneath them, if they're going to overcome it. And it doesn't matter how big it is, it's still smaller than them and beneath them. I was watching a video on YouTube this week, and the guy said, nothing in business is urgent. And So when I go to bed, I turn my phone on Do Not Disturb. Well, my phone's on Do Not Disturb even when I'm awake most of the time. But especially when I go to bed. Like, I don't want anybody waking me up in the middle of the night calling me with, but Myron, what if there's an emergency? Well, call 911 and then let me know in the morning what happened. Right? And I know that may sound cold, but like, what am I going to do in the middle of the night? Right? And so I think what happens is people, because they don't own an identity, they don't know how powerful they are. They don't know. My dad taught me, we were working on this car. I'm in elementary school. We're working on this old raggedy car. We're taking off the exhaust manifold. One of the bolts is rusted on. And we tried a torch and a chisel and a hammer. Nothing. Vice grips. Nothing worked, right? My mom calls us for lunch. I said, Dad, it's not coming off. He said, oh, it's coming off. It's coming off. You want to know why it's coming off, boy? Yes, sir. Because we got a brain and it don't have a brain.
Right.
I'm like, okay, got it. Anytime I'm dealing with something that doesn't have a brain, it can't win. If it's opposing me, it can't win.
Right.
Because I have a brain. And so when you understand who you are based on who you are, you will realize that all things truly are under your feet, which makes it easy for you to overcome.
I started in insurance in October of 1985, selling insurance and investments. I didn't get my first sale until April of 1987. 18 months. But I was doing presentations. Family members didn't buy from me, friends didn't buy from me, strangers didn't buy from me. Everybody said no. But I didn't realize that they were saying no because I was selling them the thing that I wanted them to buy. I wasn't selling them the result that they wanted to achieve. And when I learned that selling is not about convincing people to do something they don't want to do. Selling is about empowering people and freeing people from their inhibitions so that they can do something they already desire to do. So we have to understand that people do what they do for one reason only. That's because they feel like it. And people don't do what they don't do for one reason only, because they don't feel like it. And if I'm going to make my life better, like if I'm out of shape, like I'm slightly out of shape, not as out of shape as I have been in my life, but I'm slightly out of shape. But I blew out my knee last year, and so I gained all this weight, and like so now I can finally work out again and get back in shape, right? But I don't get it. I don't work out because I like working out. I work out because I like the way I'm going to feel when I get back in good shape. You see what I'm saying? Because working out doesn't feel good. But my vision for the future will give me the ability to endure some pain in the present if the vision in the future is strong enough. I believe the key to success is to work the principles, right? I call principles God's automation. So if you work the principles work for you. If you work with principles, principles work for you. If you work against principles, principles work against you. That is a war you can't win, right? And so my recommendation, instead of working hard at what's not working, work hard to figure out what would work better and then work on that, right? So what does a tree have to do to, and you've heard me ask this before, and I asked, what does a tree have to do to grow apples? People say it has to be planted in the ground, it has to be watered, it has to be fertilized. But the most important thing it has to do is be an apple tree, right? I live in Florida. I've never seen an orange grow on an apple tree. Why? Because the fruit of anything has to match the root of that thing. And see, what happens is people are trying to produce a fruit for which they have no root. I just understand how it works now. I've generated $3.8 million in 27 minutes.
Sheesh.
$3,852,000 in 27 minutes in sales. Now, but that's a lot, but there are people who make money faster than that. Wealthy people understand something the poor people don't understand, and that is this: time is more valuable than money. Rich people value time more than we value money. Poor people value money more than they value time.